Story 1. Dating requires significant effort. The best types of relationships should feel effortless. A healthy relationship should reduce struggles, not increase them. Story 2. 1. Main reason. I don't mind being alone and I enjoy not stressing about it. Self-reflection reason. I am not conventionally attractive, and it has severely affected my self-esteem when it comes to forming interpersonal relationships with women. Explanation. I work away from home doing 12 to 14-hour days in 15-day stretches, and I do not have the energy to go out and be social with strangers during the 5 to 6 days I have off between those long work periods, especially considering reason 2. Story 3. Lack of energy, lack of desire, lack of quality candidates, and I am simply not put together enough to be with a woman. Story 4. I just don't feel like it. The expectation, the competition, the duty-like act of courting, and the eyes telling me I'm just another guy among 100 that they are considering make me tired of it all. Also, my sleep recently has been excellent since my last breakup, which makes me feel great. I appreciate friendship with women, though I won't be looking for anything beyond that for a while. Story 5. Cars with high mileage are priced like McLaren cars, and it is a bit different for me. I am willing to do the bare minimum and live in a one-bedroom flat until then. Story 6. The women I want do not want me, and the few women who want me are usually unpleasant and unappealing with terrible attitudes. Dating applications are virtually useless. Most matches disappear without warning. At this point, I am just focusing on traveling and making money. Story 7. I found that with dating applications, it is left up to the man to make all the effort. We have to initiate the conversations and carry them with their one-word responses or closed-off replies. It is tiresome. In the end, it was not worth the effort, and I decided I will just be on my own. If it happens in the real world, it happens. Story 8. I am a 30-year-old male, and I have never been in a relationship before. Every time I have asked someone out, they have rejected me. After a certain point, it becomes hard to stay confident when you have nothing to show for it. It is made much worse because I develop crushes on women very easily. I think I might have undiagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and rejection-sensitive dysphoria. I am trying to get the process started to obtain a diagnosis. It has been hard for me to accept, especially when I realized that I was never going to be any woman's first choice. I am too short, too shy, and too sensitive to be attractive enough for a relationship. I also have urinary incontinence. I have tried my best to come to terms with who I am and what I am, and it is definitely not what most women want in a partner. This I can understand, but nevertheless, it is lonely seeing my friends having relationships and getting married when I have never even been on a date with a girl. It is hard not to feel like I have missed the boat in terms of romance. I just try to be positive, kind, and helpful to everyone, in part to help ease some of the pain of being unwanted and undesirable. Not everyone is lucky enough to find love or relationships. Perhaps I have to be one of them. Story 9. I am casually dating. I have talked to 6 women in 3 years of using dating profiles, had a relationship with one, which did not go well. The rest always realize they are not ready for dating, which is their way of saying they found someone better and I am not enough. Story 10. I don't feel like I am someone worth dating. That is not to sound like I am self-loathing because I am not, but there are aspects of my life that I am not happy with. So why would I try to bring in somebody else to also deal with those same issues? It is not fair to them. Story 11. I have just given up. Dating applications are the worst for men's mental health. I also tried going to clubs, bars, and other social places, making friends and approaching women, trying to speak to them and get to know them. I only faced rejection, and at this point, I am just tired. The whole effort, making the first step, investing energy, time, and money, is not worth it at all because as a man, you will only be used, changed, or compared, even if you do everything right. It is never enough for them and never will be. Women nowadays have standards that surpass reality and expect to have everything without putting in effort or giving anything in return. I wish I could meet that special person because I would like to have a family and maybe even children, but the reality of modern dating is only torture. Story 12. Nowadays, dating has become a disposable activity where people go on first, second, or third dates. If it happens to work, The relationship lasts 1 to 3 years before ending because one person feels better off without the other. To me, this is not genuine. Story 13. Last time ended with a borderline mental breakdown leading to a period of depression. At this point, that question feels like asking, why are you not sticking your hand into an active garbage disposal? I want to get back into it, but when negative experiences outweigh positive ones as overwhelmingly as they do with me, I doubt anyone would be in a rush. Story 14. Got tired of it. Feels like a waste of time. You put a lot of effort and time into conversation and a first date. You think you both had a good time, and she asks you out on a second date. Then she randomly stops responding. Repeat the cycle. Dating in your 30s is very frustrating. Story 15. I have realized that my wheelchair makes me feel unwanted. I have asked out 19 women and all have said no. One even ran away after I asked her out. I did not profess my love to any of them, but I still felt heartbroken. I think the last girl I asked out was when I knew I would give up. Maybe I will try again, but not anytime soon. This might sound dramatic, but I felt physical pain in my chest. I do not have the energy or the strength to ask anyone out, let alone date. Story 16, just over it. Tired of always having to make the first move, plan the dates, and initiate conversations. Felt like I was putting on a show. Nothing ever felt genuine. Now I just stick to my hobbies. Go outside to the beach or hike. If it happens, but I do not know. Just losing interest in the whole thing already. I have other things I want to do. Story 17. I have never dated. I have tried many times, but I gave up on ever finding love. I was told many mean things by women and was rejected so many times that it does not seem worth any effort anymore. Story 18. Looking for a life partner, not a casual hookup. Many of the women I've met are not willing to remove other people from their dating life. I am not interested in going on dates with someone who is involved with other men. You may be involved with other men. I am not judging. However, my future spouse will choose to be with me exclusively, or I will remain single. Story 19. Semi-real reason, traveling around the world. No time for anything serious. Real reason. My standards are higher than what I can attract, and I still have my own bad habits. Go with the semi-real reason, of course. Story 20. I'm just not what women want. I'm always hard to notice, not only because of my height, but also because of my presence. Recently, whenever I do get a girl and we talk, she seems really interested. But then she wants someone else or messes around, which makes me feel confused and frustrated. Story 21. It seems like a genuine mission to deal with dating, drama, stress, and financial stress. I have encountered a level of peace that I am not sure I would be able to maintain if I were to have a girlfriend or wife. I just want friends, steady income, and peace. Story 22. Because it's exhausting. Almost every match I get responds to my questions with very straightforward answers, giving me little to work with and not asking me anything in return. That's if they respond at all. Edit. The above is regarding online dating. When it comes to organic connections, which I much prefer and find typically more enjoyable, the issue I have is finding someone I like who also likes me. I either find someone I'm compatible with on paper, but we have no chemistry, or the opposite, we have chemistry but no compatibility. It seems impossible to find someone with whom I'm compatible, have chemistry, and we are both interested in each other. Story 23. After many hard-learned lessons, I find myself losing interest in romancing anyone. I am better off single than risking my mental, emotional, and financial well-being on people who are not good for me. Story 24. Tried dating and it was an awful experience. Not sure if it is worth making my life worse just to potentially find a romantic partner who makes it better. Story 25. Was on a breakup from a 12-year relationship. Tried dating 3 times. Each did not work for different reasons but made me realize I am better off alone right now, maybe forever. I do not enjoy living with someone, sleeping with someone, check-ins when they try to give me a curfew or the nagging. I just want to work, spend time with my kids, have a few hobbies here and there, and that is it. Story 26. I do not see my presence as improving anyone's life. And my experience with women has taught me to be afraid of investing too much in them. So why bother? Story 27. I was rejected in a hurtful way a few months ago, and I think I am really sensitive to rejection because of my life experiences. I will feel upset about it for the next few months. I need to work on improving myself and becoming more confident, but that will take time. Story 28. I am stretched too thin financially with time and mental capacity. Dating is simply too much of an emotional minefield now. The constant pressure to perform, make plans, and entertain a woman, only to be rejected or ignored more often than not, is not fun or worthwhile. I find far more fulfillment spending time with my dog and daughter. Story 29. Working on myself. Not ready for the kind of relationship that I want. I have learned and experienced that there is a higher percentage of people with attachment issues in the dating pool because people with healthy attachment tend to know each other and pair off quickly. The only way to have a healthy relationship is to have at least one person with secure attachment in the relationship. Therefore, I decided to become a grounded and authentic man before expecting to pair up with someone. Story 30. As a young man, I dated to find happiness. As an older man, I now realize happiness comes from within. Story 31. I would rather be lonely and depressed than be rejected, I suppose. At least I can control that. Dating applications scare me in that regard. I do not know if my mind could handle that constant rejection. Story 32. I have learned from my past relationships that I do not feel compelled to be in them. I only dated and lost my virginity because everyone around me made me feel like I was missing out. It is not something I am truly interested in. I would probably only date right now so I can get married and have children so my family will stop pressuring me. I know it is not the right thing to do, which is why I am not actually doing it. Story 33. Several reasons. 1. I struggle with understanding social cues and flirting. I am starting to think I might be autistic. I have never dated anyone and I am too scared to start now at 28, when my friends and coworkers are all married and having children. I am not good at holding a conversation. Growing up, I was talkative. When my teachers informed my parents that I was very social, my parents saw that as disruptive behavior and suppressed it. Over time, I became quiet and do not really know how to talk to people. I need to learn to become more normal, but I do not know how to begin. Growing up, my mother was strongly against me interacting with people of the opposite sex. Even mentioning talking to girls would cause her to throw tantrums at home, saying I would be betrayed if I got involved romantically or that women would only seek to use me. There is nothing worth using me for. I am chronically broke and not very smart. Despite knowing my mother's claims are wrong, I am unable to trust people in general, especially women, and it takes me longer to adjust in those situations. Social media presents many cases of women treating men like walking ATMs and men treating women like sex dolls, which discourages dating. I face financial, academic, and professional issues. Lastly, and most importantly, I am short, bald, and unattractive. I have been since I was 19. I also seem to have a vibe that causes random people to get angry at me just for saying hello. Because of these reasons, I prefer to stay in my room and pretend I do not exist, hoping that someday, after I go to sleep, I will not have to wake up. I am not saying I want to die. I just like to sleep because it is peaceful. Story 34. I legitimately do not know how to get a date. I see and hear about it happening for other people, but nothing they suggest ever works for me. Story 35. I feel that women only complicate my life. They tend not to make it better. Maybe I am choosing the wrong ones, but I am happy on my own. Story 36. As you get older, peace and convenience become more of a priority and are difficult to compromise. Story 37. I'm tired, boss. After 2 failed long-term relationships, I'm having a very difficult time putting myself out there again. Part of me feels like I can never truly love again. I can't take another heartbreak. My parents were abusive and absent growing up. I believed I was unworthy of love, a nuisance, a burden. I held this belief until I started dating my first girlfriend. She taught me that I was worthy of love. For the first time, someone loved me for me. We were together for 10 years until she cheated. The betrayal broke me. The worst part is our relationship was great until the end. How can someone who loved me unconditionally do this after 10 years of commitment? It took me over a year to somewhat recognize myself again. Over time, I started to get excited at the thought of falling in love again. I eventually started dating another woman and fell madly in love once more. Unfortunately, this relationship ended 2 years later after many arguments and tears. She isolated me from friends and family, became extremely angry over minor inconveniences, and engaged in never-ending circular arguments. As for me, I learned I developed severe trust issues due to the infidelity I experienced in my first relationship. This caused my anxiety to run amok, which negatively impacted our relationship. I recognize this is something I need to resolve before I think about entering another relationship. In the end, we were just incompatible and decided to call it quits. We both had our issues. Now, a year later, I just feel empty. I have no more love left to give. I'm jaded and have convinced myself that almost all relationships are doomed to fail. I have seen so many friends and family get divorced after 5, 10, or 20+ years. It's terrible. What's the point of entering another relationship? Why would I ever want to get married? My worst fear is being a divorced, lonely dad struggling to pay alimony and child support, with kids who were brainwashed into thinking that I am a bad person. What a miserable life. I would much rather control my own destiny and spend my time how I like. This time around, I don't feel excited about falling in love again. I don't want to, but I do feel excited about being single and continuing to improve myself. I've increased my physical fitness, elevated my career, paid off all of my debt, bought a sports car, traveled to 12 countries, and started investing more time into my physical appearance. Ironically, I've never received as much attention from women as I do now, but I just don't care. I don't even have the will to date casually. It's been nice only having to worry about improving myself. For myself. I guess you can say I'm finally learning to love myself, which is a blessing in disguise since I had inadvertently attached my self-worth to how my partner felt about me in the past. Maybe I will eventually feel ready to date again, maybe not. But for now, I can confidently say I am out of the dating game for the foreseeable future. Anyways, if you took the time to read this, I just want to say thanks. Replying to this post was therapeutic for me. Stay strong, my brothers. Story 38. I take after my father in that I get easily irritated. I do not want my potential partner to be upset because of me. Also, dating feels like applying for a job. I do not have the time for it. Story 39. Because my patience for many things is at a historically low level, I sometimes get on my own nerves. I know I am not in the right frame of mind to deal with anyone else. Story 40. Because I am emotionally dead inside. Also, it seems like a lot of hassle. My friends complain to me about their relationship problems, how hard it is, how expensive it is, and all the drama. Then, a few minutes later, they ask me why I am not in a relationship. Story 41. When you are not stable, there is no motivation to date because you do not feel you have much to offer. Yes, social stigma. Story 42. I wouldn't date me. It's difficult to say, but yes. I dated a lot of people in my teens and 20s. I wouldn't change anything about that time in my life. It was great and it was stressful. But now I just feel apathetic towards the idea of beginning again with someone. I don't think I would put in the effort, and that's not fair to them. Story 43. Because whatever women want these days, I do not have. The majority of women today are not worth my time, even if I had it. No matter how much it hurts to be alone, it is better than chasing after women who are unworthy but think they are prizes. Story 44. I'm not dating because I'm done being seen as a utility. People don't get to know me. They size me up, trying to figure out if I fit their timeline, needs, or unresolved issues. I'm either the safe option, the emotional sponge, or a stand-in until something better shows up. There's no curiosity, no real interest in me, just projection and silent comparison. It's transactional, not personal. One woman kept showing me baby pictures from her friends and got emotional around kids in public. All subtle hints. I wasn't a partner to her, just a potential father she could tolerate. I've spent years building emotional awareness and clarity. It doesn't matter. What people value is comfort and familiarity, not depth. My background in mental health and probably neurodivergence makes it painfully obvious when someone's using me without realizing it. It's like seeing the strings before they know they're pulling them. The last person I cared about went down a self-destructive path, refused to help herself, and crossed hard boundaries. Sex work was the final line. Autism, borderline personality disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, all real, but so was the manipulation and cruelty when things didn't go her way. People don't want to connect. They want to consume. So I'm out. Story 45. I don't really find many women my age on a daily basis. Dating applications are ineffective, and I find bars, clubs, discos, and similar venues boring and annoying, so I've never had a chance there. Story 46. I was diagnosed with autism on April 9th of this year. Since then, I have been experiencing a major identity crisis because I do not know what my long-term life goals are. I am 31 years old, and I do not know where I see myself in 10 years. If I cannot express my future aspirations, how can I date? I do not want to burden a woman with my uncertainty. It seems like dating is not an option for me. Also, everyone I know who is in a relationship is stressed by it. Story 47. Efforts are no longer worth it. The relationships market is not doing well these days, and I have not seen anyone interesting. Story 48. I have been burned one too many times, and besides intimacy, women do not tend to offer much support in a relationship. At least that is my experience, and I am 30 years old now. At this point, I do not know how to identify uncommitted women other than waiting for them to approach me, which almost never happens. So I am just minding my own business now. Story 49. I simply don't feel like going out with any woman. At 41, I have greater control over my libido, and I've noticed that most of the time, it is boring to talk to most of the women around me. The rare women who really interest me live very far away, and it is very expensive to date them because of the distance. Most women are uninteresting and repellent. Many of them have traits I do not like, apart from the harmful ideologies that many follow. Finding compatible women is difficult. I have not gone out to meet, kiss, or have sex with new women since October 2023, and that is fine with me. I do not get desperate. I have deleted social networks like Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram, as well as dating apps like Badoo, Happen, Jamo, and Tinder. I was disgusted by all of this. I work, study, read, and write. I am going back to training, plan to attend therapy, and will go to driving school to learn to drive motorcycles and cars. I intend to do postgraduate studies and double my salary. Being very good to myself is worth more than going out with women. I do not think it is important to have a woman with me. Maybe in the future, a woman will appear who is very interesting and can arouse my interest. For now, I do not want any woman, and that is okay. Story 50. There are no quality women who like me. This sounds narcissistic, but I genuinely feel like I bring more to the table than the women who are actively interested in me. There is a real imbalance. I also tend to miss signals. My friend told me a cute girl was into me the other night, and I didn't believe him, even though he was probably right. I missed my opportunity. Like the top comment says, I can't stand auditioning for women. It feels unauthentic, which is something I hate in relationships with anyone. I want someone to like me for who I am and for things to develop naturally, which seems like a pipe dream at this point. Story 51. I gave up. I got tired of being rejected or ignored. I also saw many relationships fail growing up, starting with my parents. It is not worth the stress or effort for me. Story 52. It's exhausting. I've done in-person speed dating before in a big city, but I soon realized that my personality was not normal. I can be polite, friendly, have good demeanor and repertoire, but I can only go so far until I slowly reveal my flaws. All the while, women notice. Can I blame them? No. So why waste each other's time? Why sweat it when I can kayak, swim, boulder, bike, lift, and pursue other hobbies to fulfill my time? Story 53. The investment to return ratio is way off balance. It is not worth it anymore. At best, you get a basic relationship. At worst, you lose all your money, time, mental health, and custody of your children. The truth is you do not really know people or what they are capable of. In the past, marriage was binding. Now it is just a contract that can be cancelled, where the woman can claim the man's assets. Who in their right mind would open themselves up to that level of risk? Story 54. The dating pool is unpleasant and full of people who make dating unbearable. I value my peace more than I value an annoying financial burden. Story 55. I feel like it is not worth it. Many women expect a man to do traditionally male things such as paying for dates, planning the dates, and taking care of the woman, but will not do traditionally female things such as cooking and cleaning. Story 56. Last relationship took a lot out of me. I just do not feel like it right now. I am working on myself in the meantime. Story 57. 2 reasons. 1. The way my life is, I do not currently have many opportunities to meet women. I am considering adding more social activities as a way to meet people. Dating makes me nervous. The idea of going on a date terrifies me. Story 58. Just got my own place that is actually mine. I am enjoying not having to justify how I spend my time, and the silence is amazing. Most women my age have 1 or more children. I do not want any of my own, nor anyone else's. Story 59. I am actually feeling better. It took me about 2 years to regain my confidence after being abused by my ex-wife, but I am finally feeling like myself again. I have some fun dates lined up and am looking forward to enjoying myself. Story 60. I have been single all my life and have now reached a point where even the idea of sharing my space with someone feels scary. I am very insecure and have social anxiety, even though I strive to improve each day, which has helped immensely in managing my anxiety. I tried dating applications with minimal success. While I do have a social circle and friends that I regularly spend time with, most of the time I make the plans for activities because I enjoy planning. I am very content with my own company and often need my space to do things I enjoy, which do not usually involve interacting with other people. I have been told I should approach people in person because otherwise, how would I date if I am not using dating applications? However, the thought of coming across as awkward bothers me, so I do not even try. Story 61. It is just too much effort. Also, I never get or feel the natural need to socialize, so it almost never crosses my mind. I think I have autism, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or sensory processing disorder. I am undiagnosed, though, so I just continue as I am. Story 62. Bad luck with dating some people who have really messed with me. I just don't have the energy to look for another relationship but end up in another situationship. Story 63. I sometimes question that about myself. I like to think that I am logical in most aspects of life, yet when it comes to relationships, even if there are billions of women out there, I keep thinking that no one would ever genuinely like me. Story 64. I am unattractive, not in education, employment, or training, and too apathetic from being jaded with negative memories and regrets that bother me every day. I just do not want to create new memories that I do not want to think about. Story 65. I am in the process of losing weight and do not want to try the dating applications again until I am where I want to be. The last time I used the dating applications, I was lucky to get a match maybe every other month. In real life, it does not really go anywhere either. I work from home, so unless someone at the gym, grocery store, or driving range is interested, I would not know. Otherwise, I go back and forth about whether I even want to try. I think about dating, and then I think I do not really want anyone to disrupt my routine, nor do I want to fumble through multiple people just to find one who might get along with me. Story 66. I cannot find anyone I am interested in who is also interested and available. Additionally, there is no way to know if a woman will dislike being approached, and I worry about being bothersome or offensive. In my experience, online dating is no longer effective. Story 67. I am currently about 60 pounds overweight and very socially awkward. I have been transforming my body through daily walks and weightlifting, and I am starting to go out more. I am afraid of dating because my previous relationship was abusive. Story 68. Women seem to have this ego about them nowadays that basically means I must bend over backwards, pay for their life and everyone in it, while maintaining myself and my friends aside from their toxic behavior. It's just not worth it. I have a friend with benefits who is awesome, but the same thing happens. If she dates a guy, she takes him for all he is worth emotionally and financially. Story 69. Because I am looking for someone to build a life with, not someone to have sex with all the time. Everyone says they are looking for a real relationship, but then it quickly turns into, do you want to come over? No thanks. If I wanted something casual, I would not be this intentional. Story 70. I'm working on myself. I haven't found the right person yet. If the universe presents something to me, I will be okay with that. Story 71. It is hard to imagine that someone would genuinely be interested in me and not just use me for something. Story 72. I decided to quit pursuing serious relationships 5 years ago due to cheating. Now I don't date because I have put myself in a great position mentally, physically, and emotionally, and I refuse to risk it on someone else. It is too easy to cheat today. It is also too easy to divorce for whatever reason a partner comes up with. To be honest, I am still not over being cheated on. That experience haunts me. I made sure to do everything possible to be a good husband, but it didn't matter. She still cheated. I ended the relationship and divorced immediately. I ran into her 2 years later, and she broke down crying in the middle of the restaurant, saying it was the worst mistake of her life. She never had children and was still single. When it comes to sex, in my opinion, women are like many men now, so it is not hard to have fun for a night or two and then go separate ways. There is one issue: I wanted children. Words cannot do justice to this feeling of not having children. But I would rather not have children than have them raised in a broken home or have the mother decide she is bored and leave. Losing my children and having to pay her for taking them is just too much for me. Story 73. Other more important things to focus on. I just do not have the time or energy to deal with, "Are you mad at me?" after I have been working all day and have not had time to text. I still flirt and have the occasional quick date or hookup, but if it is something that seems like I am going to have to put a ton of effort and attention into it, I am all set with that for now. Story 74. It is not worth the effort and money. I would rather focus on myself only unless a woman who adds value to my life randomly joins it. This is not happening anytime soon. Story 75. Currently 1 year into a breakup, although technically it has been 2 years emotionally. It is a long story. We knew each other for 7 years, and I am devastated. While I would love nothing more than to be in another relationship, I need to heal, work on myself first, and figure out my identity. Story 76. I am a dedicated min-maxer at heart. I am sorry, but I will put in active effort when I see the incentive. Story 77. I just can't do the first date that goes nowhere, leading to months on a downward spiral and months to get my confidence back. I just can't do it anymore. Story 78. When the time comes, it comes. It just hasn't yet, and that's fine. I'm happy with the friends I have. I don't need a girlfriend to be happy. I want to meet a woman one day where if we both end up liking one another, then awesome. I'm open to that, but I don't need it, if that makes sense. Story 79. Juice is not worth the squeeze, and I have already got enough drama in my life right now because of my ex. Story 80. Terrible teeth, not good at taking photos of myself, and no driver's license. As a man in my mid-20s, I might as well not even try online dating. I don't make it my focus anymore. It doesn't seem to help my mental health with all the rejection and endless pickup lines. I got one date in about 5 years. I am not much of a catch, apparently. Story 81. Because I spent my high school years with social anxiety and my 20s as a depressed shut-in, I have no idea how to even begin trying to pursue any kind of romantic relationship. The idea of approaching a woman for that kind of thing absolutely terrifies me. Story 82. Very comfortable being on my own, just responsible to myself. In my past relationships, I was mainly responsible for financial issues which caused problems. I have health issues and sex is low on my priority or interest list. I always found I was never comfortable in my own head, and a relationship helped me with that. I am now comfortable in my thoughts and actions and have no need for a woman to affirm my masculinity. Story 83. Because dating is almost exclusively online now, it is a nightmare. I will not go into the details. We all know how bad it is. Also, it is becoming extremely hard to meet people who are not just in it for what they can get. Self-serving, shallow, non-committal behavior seems to be typical, and I am over it. It is so difficult to even get baseline honesty that it is not worth it. I am happier and healthier just doing the things I love and maintaining friendships. Story 84. I am happy being by myself with no drama, and I can do what I want. I have accepted who I am after losing my girlfriend to suicide 6 years ago. I had massive amounts of guilt over her death. Now I am healed, and it has been a wild ride of transformation and journey. Since then, I have seen women change in the United States and Canada, having long lists of demands, expecting to be paid for like a client going on a date. So I have given up and am now waiting for the one who is out there working on herself. In due time, we will meet. Story 85. I am divorced, and honestly, I think that part of my life is over. I live for my children now. Their health and happiness are my focus. I have my hobbies, and I do not think dating is for me at this point. Story 86. When I was not successful, it was because I was only getting low-quality matches that were too far away to justify meeting. When I moved to the city, it was a lot easier. That opened up the next challenge, progressing from first, second, to third dates. I discovered, or at least think I did, that I was holding back a bit too much physically. I should definitely kiss them on the cheek if the coffee date went well and I expect to see them again. I should go in for genuine hugs after the first one breaks the ice. I should hold their cheeks to mine and smile. More importantly than all of that, I should invite them to my place immediately on the second date. I was definitely waiting until 3 dates to even consider bringing it up. That is ridiculous, especially in the winter. Story 87. Still processing how the last relationship ended and what my priorities should be going forward. Rushing will only cause problems later. Story 88. I never make a move. I do not know, I am just not usually interested in anybody, except for the ones I am sure would not go for me. If someone came along and expressed interest in me, that would be great. I know it is not the best way to go about things, but I cannot seem to change. I am too nice, and I do not want to waste someone's time if I am not really interested in them. I also know that someone can become more attractive once I get to know them, but I cannot get past the initial superficial judgment. I am not a talker either, so that does not help in getting to know someone. Story 89. I recently ended a relationship with someone I was dating, and it was a difficult decision. On paper, she was everything I look for in a partner. She was kind, beautiful inside and out, had a similar sense of humor, and more. Unfortunately, she had some deep trust issues and did something that caused me to end the relationship. Now I am hurting a bit and have decided to fully heal before considering dating again. Story 90. It's exhausting, and I got rather tired of dealing with unpleasant behaviors when things don't go his way and being stood up. I'm over it. Story 91. I am happy enough alone that it does not really feel worth it to me to actively pursue a relationship. I do not like online dating, I am not really a bar person, and most of my hobbies are solo activities or male-dominated spaces, such as pickup basketball. I am pretty happy with the person I am right now, which is not always something I have been able to say. I think that makes it easier not to be in a relationship. It is still something I want, but I am not going to go out of my way to find it at the moment. Story 92. Ugly, short, and balding. Why bother? I just don't think about it. I will get a dog if I feel lonely in old age. Story 93. Got betrayed. I just want to sit with my peace. I do try to talk to people and connect, but I always feel scared. Still, I am hopeful. Story 94. I found happiness in myself. I do not need a partner to be happy. I also place many nearly unreachable conditions on my future partner based on what I bring to the relationship. If this is supposed to last a lifetime, I want it to be as perfect as possible. I can easily manage on my own and focus on myself. Dating can be frustrating. I am tired of chasing someone only to be uncertain if it will last. If I could, I would skip the first year or two and move directly to living together, the routine and the stable phase. I want to avoid all that drama. Story 95. Focused on fixing a few important things such as eliminating debt and obtaining certifications. These are challenging to prioritize when fully invested in a relationship. I plan to try again towards the end of this year or next year. Story 96. Dating gets expensive and often leads to nothing or a headache. The effort is not worth the result. Buying a cow for a little milk is too much. Story 97. Like it is a choice? I was doing online dating, but it was a disaster. I have met a few people in real life, but by the time I get up the nerve to ask them out, I am in the friend or like a brother zone. Story 98. Because as an overweight man, it is incredibly hard when using dating applications, where everything is focused on looks and a few words. I can have the best pictures taken of me and a professional biography, but I am still overweight in a world where women are not attracted to that, and most men are only a bit chubby at most. I am quite at ease with being single, especially given how my ex broke up with me and betrayed me. It is painful to be hidden from, lied to, manipulated, gaslight, and told how wrong you are, yet 2 days after the breakup, she went to that man. Story 99. Because my father is in late-stage kidney failure and struggling to keep himself alive, along with searching for employment, these concerns are occupying all of my mental capacity lately. Story 100. Because I am working 80 hours a week, a day job plus trying to launch a startup. I just got dumped by a girl who said I do not do anything fun or have enough time to spend with her. I figure this is only going to work out if I go celibate and focus on work for now. Story 101. Ellen Ring Night Rain is a guaranteed good time. 45-minute successful runs. Dating is not. Failed runs take too long. Story 102. I have noticed that when I am in a relationship, I always miss having free time and freedom in general. Therefore, I stay single now and either use an application or go to a bar when I want to meet someone. Story 103. Too many girls have unrealistic expectations of a guy and do not aim for someone who can realistically match what she brings to a relationship. They reach for the stars, expecting to be with someone they think is just good enough at this point. I want to be the choice and the goal, not a consolation prize. Story 104. I am gay. Where straight men can at least assume 95% of the women they meet can potentially be their partner, I have to hope the man I like belongs to the mythical 5% of gay men out there. Our dating pool is extremely small, and the world makes dating even more difficult. Also, many gay men, especially in their early 20s like me, only want sex and are scared to commit. If straight men in this thread complain that it is hard to find the one, imagine what it is like when you are gay. Story 105. Women in general seem somewhat miserable and smug about men. So what is the point? Once I realized that most millennial women believe their happiness is more important than the outcomes for their children, I understood that it was a fixed situation, as the children say. Story 106. I am short, overweight, 42 years old, and unemployed. I live in the suburbs with my parents. I have nothing to offer. Story 107. Main reason before, not attractive enough. Main reason now, the economy and still not attractive enough. Story 108. The amount of effort required to get a date with a person I am interested in, combined with the very low probability of even securing a date, let alone a relationship, makes it seem like doing anything else would be a better use of my time. Story 109. My mom had a stroke 4 years ago, and I have been renting out my house to stay with her and provide round-the-clock care. Right now, I am waiting for her to have a bowel movement so I can clean her and help her back into bed. It feels like being under house arrest for 4 years. The only break I get is when a caregiver comes twice a week to bathe her. During these breaks, I get to leave the house to go grocery shopping, visit the pharmacy, and if I am lucky, get a haircut, although I have not had one in months. Story 110. I have taken a 4-year break from dating, but am thinking about getting back into it around the beginning of 2026. I had some things to sort out financially and with some family health issues. Online dating is basically a part-time job for men, a very frustrating one no less, and I simply have not had the time and energy to dedicate to it. Having been single for about 7.5 of the 9 years since my divorce, I have become very comfortable being single. If I cannot find someone who complements my life and does not disrupt my peace, then I will continue to be single. Story 111. No interest in me. Not going to ask people out who have no interest. Do not like being hurt. Not putting myself in a situation to allow self-harm to happen. Story 112. It is expensive and risky. It is also almost pointless since marriage itself is absurdly risky, and most modern marriages I have seen have failed miserably. Prospects are mentally ill, and I have become used to not sharing personal spaces with others. Additionally, some of my habits would probably annoy a woman living with me, even if she were sane. Story 113. There are several reasons. Lack of experience leads to significant self-esteem and self-worth issues, which then result in self-destructive behavior in romantic relationships. The current area where I live is vastly different socially and politically from what I prefer, making it difficult to find someone who aligns with my beliefs. Hopefully, I will only be in this location for another year or so while my career progresses, so I am not looking for anything serious. Average to below average looks and a dislike of nightlife lead to no casual relationships. I cannot get a match online and do not go out to find anyone in person. Story 114. I do not like dating, and neither sex nor romance is a high priority for me. Therefore, dating has never been part of my life. Story 115. About 25. I need to get my life back on track. I can endure being lonely for a while, but I really need to get my life on track. Story 116. Never before have I had a jaded view of love relationships and a skewed sense of love. Practically, I am not financially stable or emotionally available. I am also too insecure in myself to be a good influence on a partner. Story 117. My head is not clear, still full of thoughts about my toxic former partner even after half a year. Let's just say I would like to, but it would not feel right to the other person. Story 118. I am 40 years old and have been single for 9 years. I am used to it and comfortable with it. I have never had children, and at my age it seems too late. Running after a toddler would be more difficult than if I were younger. Also, the thought of having a woman in my life feels like a burden I do not want to deal with. I need intimacy, but physical touch is not a necessity for me. Story 119. Got tired of the same thing happening. They think I'm cute, we start dating, then they realize that the smart, cute guy is functionally autistic, and then they move on to another guy. Now I just focus on myself and honestly don't feel that much worse off. Story 120. Not ready yet. I will go on occasional dates because it is fun, but I do not think it is worth doing something serious when the last person I seriously dated is still on my mind. Story 121. I have not found anyone worth talking to in the last few months, and now I work overnight, so there is no dating pool here. Story 122. I do not want to know what it is like when women start changing partners. I want to save my money and live freely for now until my mental health and financial situation are in a decent position, although not perfect, before pursuing a partner. Story 123. Trying to get back into it, especially after my last relationship ended with my ex leaving out of nowhere on a Saturday afternoon and then proceeding to speak negatively about me with the people she was involved with. Almost 2 years of supposed unconditional love went down the drain. Story 124. I do not lie about my height. I am a straight white male and I have a beard. My dating pool is very small. If I ever do match with anyone, they often stop responding. It is not worth my mental health to keep trying. I will wait for artificial intelligence. Story 125. I have spent about 6 years using dating applications such as Bumble and Tinder. In those years, I had 6 matches on Bumble, of which only 3 led to conversation and 2 led to sex. Of those 2, one relationship lasted for 4 months until they matched with someone they liked more and left me. On Tinder, I had 10 matches, none of which led to a conversation or even a response. I had 5 matches on Hinge, and while those led to some conversation, we both quickly realized we did not like each other. I have tried Facebook dating for about a year now, but I keep matching with people from other countries who also just ghost. In general, dating applications serve me no purpose. I have also been trying in person during that entire time with very little success. I have connected with people, but most are too guarded. The open ones are not looking for a partner, and the rest just want sex, which I do not like as I prefer not to sleep around. It does not help that I have an unconventional work schedule and do not enjoy loud events or drinking. These many years of constant rejection and failure, despite having had relative engagement and a few relationships, one that lasted about 4 years, have only ingrained in my mind that I am not what somebody wants or even worth giving the time of day. I know this is not true, but it eats away at me when I lay awake at night alone, wondering why I am not what anybody wants. I am tired of having to work so hard for nothing, of having to go out of my way to perform socially in environments I would never go to otherwise if I were not actively looking for somebody, and in places I would normally go because everywhere else holds no one. I gave up because I believed in myself and kept getting proven wrong. I am scared that I will one day believe it too. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.